Welcome to Real Person Reviews. I'm Sam, and I'm a real person. And today I want to talk to you about the new Star Wars Battlefront from 2015. Um, Basically, I've already talked about the older Star Wars Battlefront games, the first two, and the recent remaster of those two. So if you're unfamiliar with the idea, basically think of playing Star Wars battles in a first or third person shooter style thing. And I mean, like, you don't really need to watch those reviews to be up to speed for this, but I mean, it is a kind of a reboot of sorts and whatever. But um, I only first actually played this year in 2024, so this actually just is my first impressions of it. So we'll see if that's interesting and see how that holds up and all that fun stuff in the review. So I don't think I have much really more for preface for that. And let's just kind of jump right into the review. So once again, you're playing this kind of hybrid of a first-person, third-person shooter set in the Star Wars universe. When the game first starts off, you can actually play a tutorial, and then there's a set of training missions you can do as well. So the tutorial will set you up for some of the basic gameplay elements. You can walk, run, crouch. You fire a weapon that basically most weapons work on like a cooldown thing, so they heat up as you fire them, and they'll cool down as you don't use them. And if you shoot them too much, they'll overheat, and you have a chance at a time thing. If you time it right, you can do a quick reload, a quick, cool down of it. But if you mess that up, then it'll last a little longer for it to cool down. So there's that. And there's like a melee attack, and you can roll. Your health regenerates when you take damage. So it's kind of like think, Call of Duty rules. There's also a button just to quickly toggle between third person and first person. The third person is really more like over the shoulder kind of third person, not totally third person, but a toggle for that. And for your equipment and things, you have these things called star cards. There's 4 of them that you can use. 2 of them are just going to be some kind of like, things like grenades or pistols or some other piece of equipment that you can use that just works on a cooldown. Once you use it, you got to wait for it the cooldown to reset before you can use it again. So there's no like looking for ammo or anything like that. One of the star cards is one that's an active use. You use it, and there's a cooldown before you can use it again. But they also run on charges, which are little like icons for those you can pick up. These little lightning bolts. You need to pick those up to get more of them than whatever you currently have. So if you don't have any, you can't just use them. They do have limited uses in that sense. And then there are these passive ones that just give you some kind of ability or buff or something by having them on your character. You can also pick up temporary special items that are just the little special item icons on the map. So run over one of those, you pick up a special item, and there's a variety of different things you can get for those. But they're only going to be there for that match. They're not guaranteed, and you don't know what you're going to get when you pick them up. There's also a set of, like I say, after the tutorial, there's a set of training missions you can do that will get you kind of used to some other things, like flying around in vehicles, to use, these ship controls and everything. There's some ground vehicles. They give you some ability to control some of those and do a few missions like that. You can also play as a hero / villain character. Usually just means like a main, notable character from the series that you would recognize from Star Wars. And the thing about heroes here is that they actually don't have regenerating health. They have to find health pickups specifically for the heroes, which are in those special item things. Otherwise, their health goes down. But they're usually significantly stronger than other characters, and they also of course, they have unique, weapons and abilities that they can use that only they can use, and you can only play them in third-person view. You can't actually play first-person view on a hero or villain. So that's a little bit of a change up here from the other games as well. And Once you're done with those, there are also two other modes you can check out in this mission category from the main menu. One of them is just called Battles. And in battles, basically what you do is you have, Imperials versus Rebels. You can pick whichever side. You can pick from all the guns in the game, and they'll give you a couple of loadouts to pick from of star cards. And then there's, these different maps that you're playing on. And in these maps, you're basically just fighting to get the most points. But the thing is, to get points, you don't just kill an enemy. You have to defeat an enemy. They'll drop a little emblem, and then you have to pick up that emblem to get the points. If somebody picks up an emblem for their own team, it will deny points from the other team because then they can't go pick them up. Whoever gets the most points by the end or gets the point limit will win. There's also some collectibles spread out throughout there for you to collect, and there are these stars you can get, these achievement stars for beating this on certain difficulties, or getting all the collectibles and that kind of thing. So basically, it's that, and you can play this by yourself or with other people as well. There are also there's a survival mode you can do where in this you're fighting off waves of enemies. It can be you or someone else, one or two people can go against these multiple waves of enemy. You're playing as rebels, fighting Imperials in that one. You're fighting waves of Imperials. And as things go on, you're fighting more enemies, you're fighting different enemy types, and they'll start throwing in things like vehicles. You might have to fight a probe droid or an AT-ST or a TIE fighter during the waves as well. To help you out a bit on these, though, they also will have some waves where drop pods will fall down, and you can actually go, if you go next to them and secure them and defend them long enough, then they'll drop some special items for you to use that can help you keep surviving longer. However, the enemies can get those and deny you getting those pods as well. And there are also, you can get extra lives here. They'll show up periodically in different parts of the map throughout it. There's also, again, the collectibles for you to get. There's different difficulties to play on to try and get these different achievement stars. Also, little special charges will pop up here and there as well for your star card. So basically, the idea is to survive all of the waves in order to win. And those are basically all of the battle modes. Oh, I guess I should mention too, for the battles where you're getting the stuff, the dropping the icons and picking that up for the one that's just called battles. On those, there's also basically every map has a regular variant for just troopers fighting, and then a hero variant where you can play as the hero / villain, depending on which side you pick, and then you can try out different characters, and same idea but playing as those notable characters instead. So, beyond that, still talking about the solo, co-op, offline, whatever stuff modes, there's a skirmish, and the two things here are actually modes that also appear in the online. They've made offline versions of them you can play. One of them is called Walker Assault, which is where it's actually an asymmetrical battle where the Imperials are trying to escort AT-ATs to basically the end of the level. So as they're going through, the AT-ATs are impervious to damage for most of the time, and during the time when they're walking, rebels will be trying to capture and hold these signal spots. If they can hold these signals longer, the longer they hold them, the more Y-wings they can call in to send in on bombing runs, and a few points where the AT-ATs stop. And these are the only times when they will be vulnerable to damage. So the Imperials are trying to obviously protect the AT-ATs. The rebels are trying to get those signals, get those bombing runs in there, and do damage to try and stop the AT-ATs before they get to the end. If they can stop all the AT-ATs before the end, the rebels win. If the AT-ATs get to the end and survive, then the Imperials win. The other mode is let me look at the specific wording of it. It is called Fighter Squadron. That's what it is. Fighter Squadron. I have it on my phone in front of me. Fighter Squadron is basically just both teams in the air. They have two different ships they can pick from while they're in the air. And you're going around trying to shoot down other ships, getting points for shooting down each other's ships. Every once in a while, somebody will have a transport that'll try to leave. So if it's your transport, you want to defend it. If it's an enemy transport, you want to destroy it. If they're destroyed, that's a pretty big point boost. And basically, you're going until someone either hits the point cap or whoever is in the lead by the end of the timer. And then there's the online play. And for the online play, well, there are a number of modes you can play on here. So a few that I was able to play on were things like, one of them was Supremacy, which is basically like, there are a number of points for you to capture, and essentially there's these 5 different points, and it's kind of like this tug of war of trying to go ahead and capture the point and then like keep it and then move to the next one, while the other team is trying to push you back and keep capturing these points. Basically, you're trying to fight over the same points in a linear fashion. You can't skip over or anything. So by the end of the match, basically the match ends if somebody holds all 5 points, or whoever has the most positions held by the time the timer runs out. But it's still kind of this tug of war, push and pull, kind of like going for these linear set of control points. Then there's Cargo, which is a take on Capture the Flag, which is basically like each team starts with 5 crates of cargo on their side. And the goal, of course, is to go over and steal the cargo from the other side and bring it back to yours, and then you'll have more. And pretty simply, the match is won by either who has the most cargo by the end of the match, or if you manage to get all 10 pieces of cargo, then you will win. There's a heroes versus villains mode, which this one's a little different, a little more complicated, but basically, I have the 2 teams like you usually do. But each team gets 3 heroes for rebels, 3 villains for Imperials, and anyone else on the team will just play as regular, foot soldiers for that round. There are multiple rounds. And the goal during the round is to defeat the 3 major characters on the opposing team. So once they're all defeated, then the round's over and you go to the next one, and then they cycle out who is playing as the heroes and villains so that everyone gets a turn. And once you win enough rounds by the end, that's who is the victor. And the other one I played was Drop Zone, which is where basically they have these drop pods like this, kind of like in Survival, where the pod will come down in different parts of the map, and the goal is to go over to the drop pod, defend it, you basically capture it and defend it long enough to get it, and whoever captures the most drop pods by the end of the match is the victor. Also, for playing online is a little different in that you don't really start with everything for the online, you start with very little for that. And as you're playing, you are getting experience for getting kills, doing objectives and things. And so you're getting the experience to rank up, which will slowly unlock more weapons, more star cards, more things that you can have and do. Eventually you get things like hut contracts, where you can try to do specific little missions to get not only more points and credits to buy things once they're available to you and unlocked for you. But you'll be able to do all that, and also you'll unlock some things themselves, like where you can get different, abilities and weapons and such. Basically, weapons and star cards, I guess, since that's what they're categorized into. So the more you play, the more stuff you have access to, the more things you can do. And you can upgrade things, so you can have higher levels of star cards, making them more effective than the basic ones when you first get them. That's more or less the thing. Of course, you do need to have an EA account to play online for this. So if you don't have it, you have to make one to play the online. There's definitely a lot of stuff I really like about this game. I think there's, basically, to say right off the bat, I think that the polish is very good. It looks good, it sounds good, it plays really good. Having basically Call of Duty controls, but on Star Wars Battlefront, that sounds like a good thing to me. I like both of those things, so I think putting them together is a cool idea, and I think it plays very well. I actually didn't mind playing in first person that much on this. I like being able to switch on the fly depending on the kind of weapons I had or the situation I was in. It was actually pretty helpful to have it really feels like both a first and third person shooter at the same time, which is something I don't see too many games do that well. Even the original Battlefront games, I really felt like they were more like third-person shooters that had a first-person option, even though this one does default to first-person at first as well. Again, probably trying to ape some of the Call of Duty feel, but I think that it has some interesting modes to play on as well. I think the asymmetrical thing of Walker Assault is a neat idea. I like the different take on capture the flag is kind of neat. I will say I really liked the survival mode. I think it was super fun, especially to play like if you have a friend to play with. That's like probably my favorite mode is survival. The battles were cool too. I like the whole kind of like aping the whole kill confirmed thing from Call of Duty. Somebody else probably did it first, but I don't know who exactly did it first. But the thing where you have to kill the enemy and pick up the thing too. I like the idea of having to like be part of that because then it's like a coordinated thing. You can't just like camp around and like kill everybody and get a bunch of points. You have to be able to also go out and secure those kills that you got or somebody on your team does. So it encourages teamwork. It takes away people from it discourages camping and lone wolfing. And so it gives this dynamic of like we need to get the kills and get the stuff and prevent them from getting our stuff. So I think it works. It's a really good mode idea that I think a lot. It's good for a lot of games basically. I'm sure other games have done it too. I just haven't really played any but two so far, really. So actually the flight controls are decent here. I will say that I think that at least they're not bad, and they're not these really big, long, boring space battles. Really, they're at least you can kind of do stuff like in some of these battles, depending on the things you're doing in the matches. Sometimes you can run over these icons to get into a ship or a vehicle or become a hero if you find a thing that's sitting on the ground to pick them up rather than just being awarded to you or something. I think that's kind of a neat idea. If like you can get to the thing that shows up, that's cool. And also having the stuff to like level up and like missions to do and stuff like that. I think that's cool for like getting achievement things is neat and all for playing by yourself, but just leveling up and grinding up to give you a reason to keep playing the the kind of addictive online stuff. I think that's a pretty fun way to kind of do that for online progression. So yeah, there's definitely a lot that I did enjoy about this game. But sadly, like I say, like survival mode was like by far my favorite. I really liked some of the offline stuff I was playing was pretty good. It kind of started to go downhill when I did, the fighter squadron thing is kind of lame. It's just kind of flying around and shooting people, and it just gets very repetitive very quickly. That wasn't that fun, even if the controls are a bit better and things. They're not as bad as like space battles. They're not that notably better. They're not good. But the online is the thing I think that really, really threw me. The online is just rough. I was also going to quick mention, I do like that your guns and stuff, there's no ammo or, you're worried about like cooldowns and things like that. You're not looking at like sitting back getting health drops and like ammo droid things or whatever. It's like, no, stuff is on cooldowns, it's on heat ups, it's on, regenerating health. So like you're spending more time focused on doing the battle and staying in the battle than camping by, droids or picking up a bunch of supplies and stuff like that. Anyways, so for the bad things, like I was saying, the online is where it really just takes this big nosedive, and mainly because it's really hard. It's just a really rough experience. Now, I understand that part of the reason is because this is my first time playing a game that's 9 years old, and most of the people that are probably still playing this have been playing it for maybe not necessarily all of those years, but probably multiple years more than me. So, of course, they're going to be way better than me. Just knowing how to play this game, the ins and outs, the levels, everything like that, they're just going to be better than me. And I'm not that great even to begin with. But on top of that, there's also the unfair stuff of basically there's this thing. Where, like I was talking about the star cards and things you can get in the weapons. Basically, they have the full arsenal of weapons at their disposal. They will have all of these star cards. They will have upgraded star cards, so they have more options for things to do than you do, so you would have trouble countering them. They also have just better versions of stuff that you do have, if you even have that. And when you first start out, you don't even get a full hand of star cards. You start out with like 2. They're for like the grenade things or something you can throw. You don't start with a chargeable thing. You don't start with a passive, and you start with the base level of whatever little thing you get for like the grenades or whatever. Um, and I think that's like a pretty rough go. It feels like you're very. It definitely feels very limited. As much as I do like a lot of the guns in the game, I think they're all pretty good for slightly different variations, and maybe they lack a bit of character. Like there's not a lot of super differences between a lot of them, but there's like probably enough. None of them are like feel bad. It's just the problem that like you don't have access to almost anything right away. You don't even have like a decent variety. You have to like play for a while to even get a decent variety and like a full like a fighting chance against enemies really, unless you're just really good or you're smurfing your account or something. And speaking of the account, that's also an issue, is that you need an EA account to do this online, which is frustrating. I don't know why I have to do that necessarily. I guess just because it's their servers. But even if you just want to play it offline and you've already linked your account to do that online, well, then you can't play stuff offline, because I had troubles one day where it just wasn't connecting to their servers, just their servers. My internet was fine, my Xbox was fine. It was really just their servers. So it's like, well, shit. So I just want to play the solo stuff at least, but I can't even do that because it's still trying to connect to it. So I had to go onto my Xbox and turn off the online on my entire Xbox to even play this solo anymore. Like, you can do it, but you shouldn't have to. That's really dumb. And also, a little weird thing here is that they don't have anything beyond Rebels and Imperials. That's also a weird thing I noticed. Where it's like, where are the clones? Where are the droids? Like, I don't know. It seems weirdly absent in this big reboot thing. And also, what seems weirdly absent is, where is the, okay, maybe there is one of the modes with, like, Team Deathmatch or something, free-for-all. Granted, I can't play all of the modes because, again, we're talking about a game that's this old, so you're really kind of stuck with the smaller game modes that people will actually, you'll get enough people to start a game in. Which means that, yes, there are more modes than I talked about, and I didn't talk about them because I was not able to play them. Like, there's no, like, offline just play with, AI or something to do that. You have to play online, or at the very least a private match. So I was unable to play half of the modes in this game, which is pretty frustrating, and I'm sure that's only going to get worse with time. And they don't have a mode that's like the original Battlefront of capturing command posts and dwindling enemy reinforcements. That's just not here at all as a mode whatsoever, at least as far as I was able to tell. So that's also a really weird, glaring omission to just not have that. It's a lot of strange choices on this thing that otherwise seems really big and polished, and it seems like they really wanted to do something with this. They wanted it to be something, and then some of these choices just seemed strange to me that they would decide to do them the way that they have, I guess. Look, what I'm trying to get at here is that I think this Star Wars Battlefront was probably pretty cool when it first came out. Definitely the way that it looks and sounds and plays is very nice. The variety of modes is nice, and I mean, it does have some lasting qualities, but basically, I can't recommend you get this game for full new game price at this point. If you're looking to get this game because you're a big fan of the other Star Wars Battlefronts, or you like Star Wars a lot or whatever, it just looks fun. I would say you're going to be wanting to get it mostly for those offline modes that you can still reliably play, especially since, again, I don't know how long the online will still be supported and active to really take advantage of that. If you can get this for $20 or less, I think that's probably a fair price at this point. I don't remember what I paid for it, but you're probably going to get your money's worth with that. I don't think it's worth paying for more. If anything, there's other options to play for, the newer Battlefront things came out, and if you want to have online multiplayer, shootout things, unless you really need it to be Star Wars, in which case, there is the new Star Wars Battlefront collection that you could do that on. You could always just go to Call of Duty if you don't need it to be, a Star Wars, skin on it. So, yeah, not bad, but time has not been great to it, and I think they could have done a few small things to really make this stand up better over time. AI for one thing, just allowing you to play bots on all modes by yourself would have done a lot more to make me probably feel like this is worth your time and your money. But for the most part, I would say maybe skip it. I won't truly know though until I play Battlefront 2. Yes, they made a second one of these. And so we'll see, how that compares to this, to the others, and how it stands up today. Because that one's only like 7 years old. So at least who knows, by the time I put the review out, maybe it'll be up to 8, but hopefully not. And if you haven't noticed, I'll plug me on my channel. I think I've supported myself enough that I deserve a shout out. I've been streaming. I streamed all of this. Other than me trying to play some online stuff afterwards, I streamed pretty much all of this for like the main stuff, and so I'm probably gonna stream Battlefront 2 also. I've been streaming some stuff lately that I've wanted to play and that I think will be like fun for that, and usually will become a review if it hasn't already been a review. So any suggestions for things you want to see on stream and stuff like that, feel free to throw that out there. And also, what do you think of Star Wars Battlefront, the 2015 one? I don't know what the state of this was like when it first came out. There may have been monetization issues as well. I don't know. I don't know the whole story. I just kind of went in and was like, this looked fun. I played it like, once a million years ago, probably when it was new at a friend's house. So, like, this was my first time properly playing. So what do you think of this? How do you think it compares to the original Battlefront games? And, forward-thinkingly, how do you think it compares to Battlefront 2? Am I in for a treat for the next one, or am I going to be kind of disappointed with that one as well? And hey, after that, I still have, the DS Star Wars Battlefront that's going to show up sometime. I probably can't really stream that effectively because it's on a 3DS that I have to stream it on, so I probably can't. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how that goes. That's kind of the plans right now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Any other stuff you want to throw out there. Feel free, feel encouraged. Yeah. And may the force be whatever. I don't know. That's good.